Jalen Hurts is a lunch pail guy. I love lunch pail guys, actually. The whole football team's a lunch pail team, man. That should be their moniker. The Batman cape I dig, but they should just have a lunch pail. Because that's who they are. They're not fancy like the Cowboys. They don't have the star like out in Los Angeles like the Rams. They're just lunch pail dudes. Big Sales National Football Show. Hit the like button and welcome aboard. You know, I got a little bit of a complaint yesterday from my aunt. She was like, "You sounded so sinister yesterday, Sileo. What's Dan? Why did you say?" I wasn't being sinister. All I was saying, you know what's funny too? The guys before me, Sports Take, you know what they do? They say this, "Hey, let's pump the brakes. Hey, it's only 3 games." Big Sil says it, "Oh, you hate Hurts. You're a hater. You hate the Eagle." No. It's funny how I say things. People get all like butthurt and such. All I'm doing here is trying to temper expectations because you know this. This is not a sprint, folks. This is a marathon in NFL season. And we're in the first stage of this marathon, and it's out to a fantastic start. There is no question. Every single box has been checked by the Eagles. By the way, last night, if one thing is evident, the offensive lines in the National Football League, and most notably in the NFC East, are atrocious. Washington and New York. Think about Dave Gettleman, the former general manager of the Giants. That guy had 5 years to find one O-lineman, and the Eagles have 7 of them. The Philadelphia Eagles' strength is the O-line. Not the quarterback, not the receivers, not the defense. It's that O-line. Pancake City. That's why I'm going to start calling them Eagle O-linemen. Pancake City. Dude, the Giants are terrible. Washington is atrocious. The Eagles, even the Dallas Cowboy O-line, kind of makeshift. It's decent. You had Jason Peters, who played pretty damn good last night, 40 years old, off the street, eating White Castles, playing guard for you. The Eagles have 7 guys. Every one of them could go and be a star at another football team in the NFL. The O-line is the golden nugget of the Eagles. That O-line, man, it's showing you. Last night, both teams, those O-lines, you couldn't put, watch this. I could take the Giants and the Cowboys, combine their O-line, and they wouldn't be better than the Eagles' O-line. Would it be? There is the secret sauce for the Eagles. And the success of this start is because of the dynamic. They're not even playing their best ball yet either. Lane is. But they're not even playing their best ball. I just told Xander this stat. You want to know something else to put the cherry on top of this start for the Eagles? Currently, the Philadelphia Eagles are in the 7 hole for the 2023 NFL Draft. Good grief. If they don't need a quarterback, what they're going to be able to draft, most of those quarterbacks next year will go high in the draft because you always overanalyze and always overdraft quarterbacks. Will Anderson could be there at 5. You trade that other first-round pick to jockey up to get the best player Nick Saban's ever coached? I don't know. You'd have Micah Parsons sitting there in Philadelphia. Plus, you just got your quarterback and you decided that Jalen Hurts is the guy. Wow. Are things looking great in Philly? 2-1s might result in Will Anderson. Look at what the play of Jalen Hurts determines next year. You're currently in the 7 hole. If he's the guy, my God almighty, man, you might move down and get another first-round pick and have 3 of them. What if Will goes 2? You move down, get 3 first-round draft choices next year, plug some of the holes where some of these free agents may end up leaving? Man, don't let the Eagles go 12-5 and win the East and then get to the NFC title game. And the Saints continue to implode. And that thing might move up to 5? Dude, this might be the greatest era of football in Eagle history. This is shaping up potentially for that because you know why? You have golden nuggets out there. I was thinking about the future of the team. You remember I was talking to you about wide receivers and money and all of that on what you're going to do and how much you're going to pay Hurts. Those first-round draft choices, wow. They are becoming more valuable every single day that Jalen Hurts plays well. Guys, here on this Tuesday, let me put this out there to you. The present and the future. And here, can I do this, please? The Dallas Cowboys are such a fraud. They beat up on all the shitty teams in the NFC East, not the Eagles, because I think that'll change this year. But they beat up on all the shitty NFC East teams. Fox puts them on prime time. They're already promoting the Commanders and the Cowboys for next. And you're like, those 2 teams are mediocre. But because it's Washington and Dallas, they're the Eagles sitting there, blue-collar dudes, picking up their lunch pails and just going to work. They're lunch pail dudes. Jalen Hurts is a lunch pail guy. I love lunch pail guys, actually. The whole football team's a lunch pail team, man. That should be their moniker. The Batman cape I dig, but they should just have a lunch pail because that's who they are. They're not fancy like the Cowboys. They don't have the star like out in Los Angeles like the Rams. They're just lunch pail dudes. When your identity is your O-line, which is so great, because look at hey, I'm telling you, Cooper Rush is pretty decent. But you know the one thing you can't build today in the NFL? Are you ready? You can't build O-lines like the Eagles have. You can't. You can't build offensive lines like they have right now. Man. Incredible. Incredible. Got MVP race. I got, again, Doug Peterson. We're going to talk about the Jags. I think the Jags are improved. Oh, by the way, Jeff Logman, longtime NFL player, part of the broadcast team for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to ask him about Doug Peterson's influence. Will be at 4:30 Eastern. Merrill Reese, with his weekly visit with us, will be at 5:30. A little bit of a programming note. Recently inducted Hall of Famer Tony Baselli will join us on Wednesday. So we will talk to him on Wednesday and get his – I think it's Thursday we're talking to Tony Baselli. So he's going to join us this week. One of my dear friends who just went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Dallas is a fraud. I don't care what they did. And by the way, I know that Joe Theismann came on last week and talked about Micah Parsons. Please stop the comparisons with Lawrence Taylor. He's not Derek Thomas. He's not Pat Swilling. He's not any of those. He's not Ricky Jackson. He's a good football player, but he's not those guys. Those guys, and you know, once somebody said to me on Twitter, Sills, he's sick. I saw Lawrence Taylor in a shoulder harness, get 10 tackles and 3 sacks, and take a touchdown back 75 yards against the Saints on Monday Night Football. Don't talk to me about being sick. You're an impact every game. I never watched a football game, win or lose, that Lawrence Taylor was involved in where he wasn't an impact in that game. And you didn't have to account for 56. Dude, Von Miller, man, I don't know. You think he's Von Miller? Von in his prime? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know I don't know he's in prime when we're talking even Von Miller. But that dude's not Derek Thomas. He's a good football player. But because he's on the Cowboys, what I talked about, like CeeDee Lamb, great catch. How many drops did he have last night? Dude, there's not a guy on the Eagles that guy's better than in Dallas. That guy in Dallas is not better than Devonta or A.J. Brown. Not close. Dude, Quez Watkins is pretty good. CeeDee Lamb is overhyped and overrated. I think he's decent. I wouldn't go like this. That's a top 15 wideout. I think he's good. I don't think he's special. That guy is not special. The Eagles have two special guys on their team. That's not special. There's really nothing special about the Cowboys. Maybe their defense. I don't see it. I've been kind of surprised by Cooper Rush's play. I think he's 3-0 now. I don't know. I mean, he's better than I thought. Can you win a Super? I don't know. I mean, that team is so far removed from being decent. I just don't see it, man. I just really don't. I don't see that when they're looking at the Dallas Cowboys. And you know what they'll do? They'll hype them up again because they got a winning record again, because they do really well in television ratings for Fox and for everybody else when they're on the tube. And that's why it's fool's gold. That team's going nowhere. It will be a challenge, though, for the Eagles when they play them in week 6. They will be a challenge because Dallas still believes they're better than you. And the Eagles, they believe they're better than them. That's going to make a great matchup. I can't wait to watch that thing. Okay? We got a ton of stuff to hit on. MVP race. I'm going to get some interesting names according to a particular sports line and a sports book. I won't name the name, but some pretty interesting numbers here. And the names, I think, may shock you here. Okay? Let me get to the topics here. It's Doug Peterson week. Let me ask you this. Was it time for Doug to go in Philly? Hey, Bob, and everybody and all my friends in South Florida, okay? And in Tampa, most notably, okay? Watch out down there. Be safe. You know, I'm thinking of you guys, okay? You guys are close to me. People in Tampa, South Florida, the whole state. You know how much I love the state of Florida. State of Florida is a second home to me, okay? California's not. Second home to me is Florida. It'll always be. I had my greatest successes in Florida. And I'm thinking of all of you guys. So, was it time for Doug Peterson to go in Philly? Timothy says yes. No. I miss Peterson, and yes, I have so much friends down in Florida. Freezer, way to go. Monster says no. Love Dougie, but Howie was right to flush the whole thing. That well was poisoned, Sills, says Eric. A lot of you say no. Hell no. You think the team would be in the same position if Doug Peterson was the head football coach today? You think Jalen would be growing? Or maybe the team would look better. I don't know. I mean, I'm asking. I'm not indicting. I'm asking. You think the team would be better today with Doug Peterson being the head coach than with Nick Sirianni? Because I want to try to look at this, because this is going to be a pretty emotional return for Doug and for the Eagle fans. Because you know why? You love to boo people, but you also love to respect people who delivered. I would say this to Philadelphia sports fans. This has got to be the most difficult week in welcoming back somebody that did something no one has done ever in the franchise's history. It's got to be hard. I mean, not even Andy Reid did it. Not even Dick Vermeil did it. Okay? Not even Buddy. Buddy's revered. Buddy is revered. Won't boo Doug. Well, why would you? Hey, look, once the game's kicked off, then it's on. Okay? But I wrote some names down here. I want to ask you where you think Doug Peterson's place in Eagle history is. Sirianni. By the way, look at Nick, 12-8. 600 win percentage. All these coaches that I'm going to name, he's got the highest win percentage of all these coaches so far in his early start. Doug Peterson, 42-37, Super Bowl champion, 531 win percentage. Andy Reid, biggest winner in Eagle history as a coach. 130, 93-1, NFC championship, 583. Buddy Ryan, maybe one of the most respected coaches in history in Philadelphia, 43-35, 551 win percentage. And Dick Vermeil, 54-47, 535. And if you want to go back into the 40s, Greasy Neal, he won 2 championships. They were considered world championships back in the day, 63, 43, and 5. To me, these are the 6 greatest coaches in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. These 6 here are your greatest coaches in team history. Where's Doug in this? Where's Doug in this conversation here? Would you take Doug over Buddy? Would you take Doug over Vermeil? Pro Football Hall of Famer. Would you take Doug over Andy Reid? Is Doug your greatest coach in team history? Look at the division titles, NFC Championship, Super Bowl. Doug Peterson's your greatest coach. Doug had the greatest era of football in Eagle history. Some would go, well, what about what Andy did? I'm going to take a line out of Xander's way of looking at things. You got to cross the tape. They may have been more consistently in the picture during Andy, but Doug did it. There's no getting around it. Doug did it. Doug's the best coach in the history of the franchise. I would go Andy then. I'd go Vermeil. Then I would go Buddy Ryan. And no disrespect to Greasy Neal here and what he accomplished, because he did win 2 championships. Back in the 40s, the game was more like rugby. No disrespect to the guys that played in that era, but, you know, you rolled your helmet up and put it in your back pocket back then. And again, I'm not dissing it. That's the evolution of the game. Not doing that, okay? It's not shade or anything, but I'm talking, you know, really since 1970 and there, when we're talking about the coaches in the Eagle history. Doug's the GOAT and Andy's the boat. Peterson, then Reid. Doug over Buddy. Ryan was clueless about offense. You know what? I don't really believe that Buddy was clueless about offense. I don't think the owner, Norman Brayman, wanted to spend money on the offense. You had a shot at getting Jim Lachey in the building, and the owner didn't want to spend the money on a left tackle. He didn't want to spend the money on an offensive tackle. He didn't want to build the O-line. Because you know what? And I say this to you guys. Buddy had to deal with an owner that knew, you know, where are your biggest group of millionaires? Your O-line. You got 5 of them. Every guy that plays on the Eagle O-line is a millionaire. Okay? That's the biggest group of millionaires on your team. You got 5 of those dudes. And you got backups that are millionaires. Okay? Randall had no offensive line. That's right, Steven, because the owner didn't want to pay for it. Plus, Doug beat Brady. Crushed that team. Dude, you didn't beat the Patriots by a couple points and a field goal. You beat the shit out of them. I mean, it was a no moss. It was like it was like a fight that the fighter just said no moss. And it was like Roberto Duran. He's just no moss. You beat the hell out of them. It wasn't close. Belichick could have had all the little tricks in the book. It wasn't going to stop that Eagle team. It just wasn't. I say, Doug, man, this has got to be pretty emotional for Eagle fans when you see that guy come out of that tunnel and he's in a Jacksonville Jaguar hat and he walks over to the opposing side. It's got to be more. It's got to be more emotional than even when Andy came, because you know why? You did something with this coach that Andy didn't do. You celebrated on Broad Street with him. You had a Vince Lombardi. You had a Vince Lombardi trophy party with this guy. You know, there's certain parties and there's certain events you remember in your life. How many people will always remember that event on Broad Street? Watching all those guys get up there and talk. Seeing everybody enjoying themselves. Seeing the city enjoy themselves. That, to me, it rivaled what happened in Boston when they won the World Series for the first time in 100 years. When they ended the curse of the Babe. Had to be like when the Cubs won the World Series in Chicago. And Philadelphia winning a Super Bowl and a World Championship in 2017 for the first time, a championship since 1960. That's quite a dynamic. You'll never forget that. The city of Philadelphia has had significant moments in their history in sports. The late 60s Sixer team that won the title, the Broad Street Bullies, the back-to-back champions, early 80s Sixers, and the Phillies. Okay? But that 1960 team was revered, wasn't it? Tommy McDonald, Bednarik, all them guys. Until 2017. And Doug was the leader of it. That guy accomplished the greatest sporting event and moment in your city's history. Am I right when I say that? Is that over the top? Did Doug Peterson give the city of Philadelphia its greatest sports moment? Yes or no? And when that guy walks through that tunnel on Sunday, okay, Paul, what was the better moment than the Eagles winning the Super Bowl? Help me out. The Phillies in 80? What? Hey, Philadelphia is a sports town. It's not a Phillies town. It's an Eagle town. Philadelphia is not a Flyers town. It's an Eagle town. Okay? You're not a 76er town. You're an Eagle town. 83 Sixers with Dr. J. 4-4-4-4. That was a great basketball team. Sills, I'm playing hide and seek with you. Please don't tell me what that is. Hey, Fishing Maniac, I don't want to know what that is. Hey, look at what this man says here, Paul. I waited 52 years for that victory. Love it. I love history like this. And when a guy who's part of it, like Doug Peterson, rolls back into town, I can't wait to see that. Hey, Doug's going to want to beat the pants off you. And the Eagle guys are going to want to beat the pants off him. That's competition. That's the greatest essence of competition is Sunday, Jags and Eagles. A guy you love and revere, but you still want to beat his ass. And he wants to do the same to you. And by the way, this got nothing to do with Howie Roseman. Ownership, management. It's Doug and his players. How many ex-Eagle guys do you think are going to show up on Sunday to see Doug? Probably that whole 17 team. You'll never forget winning a championship like that. Doug gets so much respect from me. And now look what he's doing with what you're seeing here with the Jags. Look what happens when you get an adult in the building. Density says, going to be a great game. Doug gets respect. His team, not so much. Of course, Sydney. The Doug Bowl. I love the Doug Bowl, man. One Super Bowl win in 58 years. Spoken like a true sports fan, William. Okay, now you sound like a Yankee fan, William. Oh, you won the World Series, right? Okay, what are we going to do next year? Are we signing Judge or not? What's this guy doing? He's holed up on 60. You know, that's what Yankee fans are doing. What the hell's going on? This guy's at 60 home runs. You're like, wow. Only a Yankee fan can talk like that. John says, I agree with Sills. The Super Bowl victory was the biggest win for the city. My wife got to celebrate that Super Bowl with me before she passed. I'll never forget it. Wow. That's awesome, Joseph. Whew, man. You knocked me on my knees, dude. Wow. You got me, Joseph. Good for you, man. Good for you. Good for you, man. Dude, that's what those moments mean, though. That's what those moments are all about. Awesome. Awesome. Whew. Hey, Joseph, fly, eagle, fly, dog. Man. LA Rams goes, Sills, you good? Dude, that's what sports does to you. Emotions. You remember your loved ones. That's passion. Good shit, Joseph. How many people in that city went through that like that? Dude. That's why you love your birds, man. That's why you love your birds. Man, that must have been just so remarkable. Just to see something that you hadn't seen your whole life. Boy, when Doug walks through that stadium, it's going to bring back a lot of emotions for Joseph. Good, man. That's pretty awesome shit. It really is. I am going to do my first 3 games, trends. Okay? Your MVP in your first 3 games on offense and defense. All right? I see it, Joseph. It's a slam dunk, isn't it? Slam dunk. Jalen Hurts is your MVP. And again, I do it every 3 games. Who's been playing the best ball? Hurts is your guy, right? Best offensive player. He's totally been the best player on offense. And I don't really think it's close with anybody else, right? Who on defense would you say is your MVP so far after 3 ball games? Who was your defensive guy? Hurts and TJ, A-Dog 205 says. I got TJ Edwards too. Yeah, you got Slay? I battled between those 2. Slay and TJ Edwards, I went back and forth with those guys. By the way, I think Fletcher's played some great ball too. But to me, after 3, Hurts and TJ Edwards. Hey, 17. I said Marcus Epps, give him a shot in the offseason. I like him. Fletcher 3rd. Fletcher's played good ball, man. He really has. He's played good ball. He's played some really good football, man. Slay is 32 and playing the best ball of his career. He surely is, man. BG 55 kicking ass. He is. Monster game he had this past week. No question. Be a big game this week too for him against Doug's team. And we're going to look at this 2022. Hey, Xander, do you remember that I told you guys when I first made an initial draft, and I said Devin Lloyd, the kid from Utah? Remember I said I wanted him on the Eagles? He was one of my guys that I wanted on the Eagles, was Devin Lloyd. Remember the linebacker from Utah? He is destroying people in, hey, it was my first mock draft. It was the 19th. That's right, the 19th pick. I had Devin Lloyd, and I said, I would like to see this kid on the Eagles. And you guys were all right. They were never going to draft a linebacker at 19. He is all over the field. He looks like Michael Parsons. That kid is killing it in Jacksonville. Watch him play. When you see him playing, that kid is a baller, man. He is absolutely killing it. I wanted Lloyd over Dean. I wanted Jordan Davis with the later pick in the draft. But that kid, Lloyd, man, along with the Walker kid, I think it was Walker and then Lloyd. They had those 2 picks. They're killing it, both of them. Holy cow, that's a good-looking football team, Jacksonville. They got a good-looking football team. Look, the Eagles are better. I'm not saying anything. Okay? I'm not. Not going anywhere with that. But I'm giving you this here. It's going to be a challenge. This is going to be a challenge, in my opinion, this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. I can't believe I'm about to do this. By the way, top of the hour, we'll take a look at Week 4's NFL games. Don't forget also, Jeff Logman, part of the broadcast team from the Jacksonville Jaguars, will join us at 4:30 Eastern, and then Merrill Reese at 5:30, the legendary voice. Hey, I love when WIP puts those clips out of Merrill calling the game. God, he's great. Merrill Reese is freaking great. It's contagious listening to him. His spotters are so good too. Mike Quick in the booth with him. The spotters around him, they're tapping him on the shoulder. He's got timing with everybody in the building. You know, Xander, there's only one other guy that I can compare him to that I thought that was that good. It's Eli Gold, the voice of Alabama. Voice of Alabama and Merrill Reese have a lot of cadence in the way that they call games. And you love listening. And when Eli Gold was calling like NASCAR, you should listen to Eli Gold call the NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I'm an Eli Gold fan. Hey, man. Hey, and I get it. I get it, man. People in Philly are going to go, Eli who? You ever get a chance, they sound alike, but man, Merrill is so – those clips they put together, dude, he's great. He's really great, man. Big Sills, if we beat the Jags handily, will they say we beat nobody? No, no. I don't think Doug Peterson's a nobody. His team's going to be ready to rock, man. No. Washington Commanders are a nobody. Okay? The Washington Commanders are a nobody. Detroit's good. 7-win team. Minnesota's your best opponent so far. Jacksonville, you know what, man? I'm going to say this to you. Jacksonville I think that division's open. They might do something in that division. I want to see how they play against the Eagles. I'm going to get more of what Jacksonville and Doug has done this Sunday than what I am going to get out of where the Eagles are. Because I think the Eagles are going to control the game. They're not going to be behind. They're going to be there's going to be a lot of things that Doug's going to have intel on, but vice versa also. The Vikings are good. And GT, Jacksonville's good. They're good, man. Watch this. They're a 5-time better opponent than what you played on Sunday, in my opinion. Jacksonville did a hell of a job shutting out the Colts. Colts got some players, man. They got some players, and the Colts just beat the Chiefs. I don't know. I mean, I think Doug's done a nice job. I thought Urban Meyer had talent down there last year. Okay? Sills, how about that Gannon dude? I don't know. I think his players are stepping up. I don't see anything special out of him still. Dude, he doesn't impress me. Hassan Reddick doesn't impress me. I told you, I'll always be honest with you. Jonathan Gannon doesn't impress me. The players that are playing are impressing me, not him. He's not some elaborate. When I think of defensive coordinators, he doesn't come to top of mind in the NFL to me. Does he to you? Or is it the players that are on the football field? As a matter of fact, what guy has he added that you think has been a factor from last year's team? Seems to me, guy coming off of IR, Graham, okay, well, you had him in the building. Fletcher's playing better. Hargrave's playing better. Darius Slay, he was there. TJ was there. Kaiser White playing really good football. Bradbury's playing better. I didn't think he played very good in the first Detroit game. I think he played good in the Viking game, and he was great this last weekend. So he's getting better and better. I think CJ's been okay. He played better against Washington than I thought he did against Minnesota. But if you think about it, very few of the new guys have really shined. Hassan Reddick has not. Jordan Davis was a draft choice, so again, has he shined? Again, flashes. It's been really the guys that have been here. Am I wrong? It's more the guys that have been here that have been TJ Edwards you had. Slay you had. Brandon Graham coming off IR. Fletcher and Hargrave. Sweat you had. Bradbury and Kaiser. Okay, 2 dudes you've added. But the rest of them were here a year ago. So what does that tell you? Was it really the problem last year? Those same guys are here. Another year in the system, maybe they understand what he's asking them to do. The new guys, really, outside of Bradbury, they've been okay. Okay? They've been okay. Hey, Justin, I like Kaiser White. I think he's a tackling machine. And in my opinion, I think the Chargers missed that dude. You watch that Charger game against the Jags, I thought they missed that guy, especially in the middle of the zones when they were playing against Trevor Lawrence last weekend. I thought they missed him. They got really some pretty good pass rushers who didn't show up. The Charger pass rushers didn't show up against the Jags. I mean, Bosa got hurt. He was in street clothes by the end of the game. And I didn't see Khalil Mack at all in that game. I didn't even know he played. And I mean, and they don't really have a tackler in the middle of the football field. Okay? So, of course, I come in and Dan is talking crap. I'm not talking crap. I'm talking about the kids who were here a year ago or the players that were here a year ago, and they're performing this year. Last year, they kind of performed. They're playing well. The new guys, they're kind of okay. I mean, like I said, Hassan Reddick, I don't see anything with the guy. I'm not impressed. Second half against, Washington, but in other games, the guy gets murdered and he's nowhere. He's a no-show. We'll see. We'll see what happens and how the year plays itself out with him. He's a schwimp out there too, man. He's a schwimp. I think Marcus Epps, who was here a year ago, has played. Reddick is getting better in this defense. So one game, you think he's getting better against Washington? I want to see a little more out of that. Not going to say anybody is getting better after a Washington game. I can't believe Fox is going to put that thing on national television, Washington and Dallas. And the fool's gold will be enriched again with the Cowboys. People are talking like CeeDee Lamb, he makes a one-handed catch. I see one-handed catches every day in the NFL. He's not special. That Cowboy team's not special. And Washington is surely not special. They're selling brand, though. Those two brands, personally, I think Washington's brand is in the toilet. They will always be the Redskins, but because of politics, we can't say that anymore. What kind of shit is this? Cowboys versus Commanders. When you had Cowboys, Redskins, as bad as that sounds, it's still sold, and America bought it. Now you got Cowboys and Commanders. I don't know about you, but I'm turning that reality show off. I have no interest in that. That has no interest for me. Cowboys and Commanders. Oh, wow, you really went on a limb for that one, right? Cowboys are terrible. But see, they get the win last night, and everyone's going to be on their train, and you're like, dude, please. There's nothing special about the Dallas Cowboys. There is absolutely nothing special about them whatsoever, okay? All right, I got my top 10 list, and I'm going to do that after the timeout here. My top 10 NFL teams. My top 10 NFL teams. All right. Hey, don't forget my friends at Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free, meaning this, they don't get paid unless you do. My friends, if you're hurt or injured on the job, understand this. There's only one law firm that will protect you. That is Morgan & Morgan, with over 800 attorneys and offices in Philadelphia, New York, and in Florida are there to protect you. No case is too small, and they will not be intimidated. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. The call is free. The consultation's free. And when you call Morgan & Morgan, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
After a car crash, the big insurance companies you see advertising on TV, they may try to downplay your case and might say it's only a fender bender or it's just a herniated disc. I worry that some law firms fall for this BS. Not us. We put ourselves in your shoes and ask, what would it be like to be in your pain for the rest of our lives? $1 million wouldn't be enough for me. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com.